where do you go?
It's 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
we gotta go. So, starting off with ordinance 68, I believe the legal department had sent over several different options.
I'm putting them, I've got them right here. I've got the one in front of you that was the other day.
Yeah, but Nick, I really think that we need to have a meeting with the motel people because we promised them that we would. I think we should hold off on that and have a meeting with all of them. I mean, we promised them that we would. I don't think we should go any further with the hotel one until we do. Because that they're waiting on it. I talked to Mr. Sullivan today to make sure if he knew about it. He didn't know anything about this.
I spoke to the chief over the weekend, and we kind of talked about what we have here, and we also talked about sitting down, police, mayor, council, anyone who wants to be present in the legal department. He had some good ideas and reasons why he wanted to adjust and do it a little bit differently, so
Right.
if we could just hold this at 3, or I'm sorry, at 2. I would appreciate it.
I printed these out.
You want to close the whole thing?
Now you have.
You could pass it next meeting.
Here are the other ones. There's 2 additional ones. This is dated, the one that is in front of you is dated 10/23. This one here is dated 10/24/1.
Josephine, we only have an appropriation here like that now.
Yes.
It's
Okay. I emailed you the other day that there were no packets, and the
Right.
only ordinance was the appropriation.
Right.
And that's what you have in front of you.
Got it.
Okay. Now, included in that email was the exhibit.
For hotel security. And
Yes,
you're just
and I
handing that
said,
out.
don't print it up, because I will have it in your place setting, which is there.
Got it.
Okay, but what I'm also giving you right now are 2 additional versions.
Okay.
And now here's the other one. One version is marked 10/23, and then the other 2 versions are marked 10/24/1 and 10/24/2. It should be printed on both sides. Oh, you know what? You're missing the last page. Hold on a second. Give me back 2s, please.
There's 2. No, that's 1. Here's 2.
Breathe, breathe, breathe. I just need, anything with 2s, give me back. 2.
Here's, I have another 2.
Yeah, it's 2 should be 3 pages.
Did you work with me? I don't know.
I was just going to tell my son.
Anything that's marked
There last night, did
That would affect me.
She's going to knock you out.
I just got these today, so.
Okay, so wait a minute now. I got 3 1s now. Who doesn't have 1?
There might have been more there.
We're going to come back to that in a minute. We move back on to 71 here, please. Guys, 71. Mr. Martin, ordinance 71.
Yeah?
Do you want to go 3rd reading on that?
What I'd like to do is just offer that we amend that to have a moratorium on electronic signs so we can discuss it more. Because right now, I don't want the city to become like State Road, where there's a lot of flashing signs and there's a lot of big signs and small signs, because originally when we put that together on Planning Commission, we wanted to have a lot of low-level signs, nicely landscaped, just up and down the highway. And the way our ordinance reads right now, you could put an electronic flashing sign anywhere you want to. And what I would like to see is, I know the zoning permits the electronic signs. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do want to see is I want the number of those signs limited in terms of what is best from a planning point of view. Because we could end up in a situation where we have one at Steak and Shake, we have one at Valvoline, we have one at Pizza Hut, we have one at Taco Bell, and we could have several of them up and down the road. And I think as a city, what we need to do is we need to be very judicious and set guidelines just in terms of where those electronic signs would be. Now, we have a large electronic sign now right in the center of town at Dunkin' Donuts. I did not vote for that because I didn't feel that it was appropriate. But the whole thing is, the ordinance allows that. What does that stop the dentist next door from having one? Or if Mr. Hurchek sells to someone, how does that stop Mr. Hurchek? So theoretically, you could have 3 flashing signs on that corner. So what I would take a look at is just putting a moratorium on them for a while, giving council a chance to study the situation and see what type of plan could perhaps be developed with the assistance of our community planner, and then bring something back to council, and then you could consult with the planning commission, get some input, and then come up with a planning document. I think that makes sense.
What's the date of your moratorium, so when?
Wait, may I have a moment, please? I think that Ken has very good intentions, but if you can recall, just last meeting, I was reading to you out of a document that was prepared by a doctorate of law in case in Cleveland State that said you cannot put moratoriums on signs because you can go to court. The man has given legal opinions, and we followed them to the T with our planning commission, with our planner, and therefore council voted to accept the sign ordinance a year ago. And now we're going to go against that and say there's a moratorium on signs. And I think that we would be leaving ourselves open for legal liability, and I need to bring that up. I understand Ken's feeling. I think that we have to be careful, but for a sign to go up, it has to go before planning commission. If one person on planning commission votes against it and 4 vote for it, it passes. It's no different than council. If you have a problem with something, you say no, and everybody else says yes, that's allowed. Ken has his opinion, but I need to caution you that any moratoriums that you set could be used against us in the future. Not only that, but if I have somebody coming here that is a large retail chain, and we've worked on this for months, and we've got them coming, and everybody's all excited, and then we say, oh, by the way, you can't put up a certain kind of sign, and they say, forget it. Right now, we're going through that with the redecoration of Taco Bell. All right, Taco Bell is one of the original businesses here in town, and they're changing. Well, they're in the Western Reserve section of our town, so you know what that means. They gotta be brick, they gotta have white windows, they have to conform. But they can conform and yet still have an identity. Why do I say that? Because of Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts is Western Reserve, but it still has that identity. And they do it with color, and they do it with lights. So we need to be very, very careful here. I don't think you should move forward with any moratoriums. If you decide to do so, that's your prerogative. But you really need to get input from the law department and from our city planner and our building department and our engineers.
So why don't we just schedule a work session with them in the very near future here and table this? Would you be okay with that?
Well, let me put it,
Do away with it and then come back and do it. Because doing away with them is not a moratorium, and that's legal. Beaver just said that before.
Yeah, let me explain to you. We can, first of all, I don't think a moratorium would be legally detrimental to the city, because that's been done before. But let me point out that in Painesville, for instance, these types of signs are prohibited. In many communities, they're prohibited. And what we need to do is we need to protect our property values. Do we want to look like State Road? The answer, of course, is no, because when we originally planned this community, our whole effort was directed toward avoiding what took place on State Road, for instance, in Cuyahoga Falls. So what I believe we should do is we should go ahead and apply the moratorium and take a while and study this. Now, if it comes up that somehow that this is not proper, we can always remove it at another council meeting.
Well, and that's all a good point, but just consider this, that the actual moving letter sign started with the planning commission long before I was on it. And at that time you voted against it, but it passed and went up anyway, and you definitely have your opinion. But I caution us on the side of it's a tool that we can use perhaps that would make a difference, make or break a deal. It could be like, for instance, signs like Speedway has. Speedway has digital signs where you...
Yeah, but those are okay.
They're not moving.
Yeah, those are okay because they have a different purpose. And Don, I understand what you're saying. I disagree with you to the extent that I don't think an electronic sign is a real deal breaker for a company to come into a city. But what I am concerned about is that we could end up with 10, 20, 30 digital signs in this city because...
Well, I guess, I mean, what if we do? What if we end up with that many signs, which could very well happen? I mean, so what?
Aren't you concerned what it would look like? I don't care.
I mean,
Well, the signs,
It's people's personal property. I mean, you know, within...
yeah, but it's within our purview to regulate
Well,
that personal
that I'm not
property.
arguing with. I'm just saying, why do we want to, you know, if business wants to come in and advertise that they're selling milk for, you know, $3 a gallon, I don't...
there's a freedom of speech issue that we need to consider
Yeah, but
before.
commercial speech is treated differently than speech.
Private on your own, personal property.
But I just think, but I just really believe we need a moratorium to sort this through because of the differences of opinions at this table right here.
Well, as far as I'm concerned,
And I think you're right.
It's not an issue that we really need more of these signs. And I don't want it to appear that I'm saying that, because you have a very, very valid point. One of the reasons that I was in favor of that sign right in the middle of town is because the city has been unable to get something that they could put out messages with up until this point. And Ken Bloom has promised me very faithfully that he will be putting announcements on that board for us. So it might say special on maple donuts today. I don't want to make anybody drool. Oh. But it could also say, don't forget the firemen's Halloween party this Sunday. So to me, that was a good place to put it in the middle of town because of that offer. So this is an example how a business is trying to work with the community to help them promote their functions as well as what.
And you know, and I understand that, Don, but on the other side of it too, and this is a classic example, but Boston Chicken, remember that company? Boston Chicken?
The Arby's used to be.
Yeah.
Or the Arby's is.
Boston Chicken was transition. Boston Chicken came to the planning commission and they wanted to build their style of building. It was not Western Reserve, and they wanted an electronic sign up there to advertise their products. And you know what? I told them no, the planning commission told them no. We ended up making them build a Western Reserve style building. And you know what? They went out of business 6 months later. The whole company went bankrupt. And while we were at the meeting, it was as if, hey guys, we're going to be here forever. And the thing was, you were able to take that building because Western Reserve architecture has classical lines. And it's, let me put it this way, it's an infinite design that always looks attractive. And Arby's was able to move in there and think how beautiful that building looks. Think about what
Yes,
would
but
have...
attractiveness and beauty, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. Some people may not like that stuff.
They don't like Western Reserve
I
architecture?
know, I mean...
So for instance, when Long John Silver's builds a restaurant that looks like a fish, and then they go out of business a few years later.
They're stuck with the fish.
You know, but you're stuck with the fish.
Taco Bell.
That's where we're at with Taco Bell, and I'm glad Ken had to leave that meeting in a way, not for the reason. But his blood
Is that gonna happen
pressure,
tonight?
his blood pressure would be through the roof with Taco Bell.
But see, in Oakwood, when they had the Taco Bell closed.
It's still there.
For selling drugs, and now it's the B&M issue, and it looks like a Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Because it'll always look like a Taco Bell, and they should tear it down and build a new building.
Well,
So this is our opportunity to get Taco Bell in
exactly,
line.
conform.
That's right.
All right, but, you know, going back to the Western Reserve look, that is by ordinance in stone. So Taco Bell has to realize that, because if I told them, just go and look at Steak and Shake, and it'll be the only one you see in this country that's brick and built the way it's built. So what they brought to us, you know, we want everything to be uniform. And when you start talking about uniforms, you think maybe Army, Navy, but this was like a clown suit. I mean, it would stand out like a sore thumb. So it didn't fly, and they're gonna go back and rethink it. So that is a key issue that I believe we need to maintain, Ken. But
And that's my point, is that there's so much here to digest. I think we have more, no, at some point we need to make a decision, you know, like some stuff we've done in the past, but I think there's more here we need to sit down and actually have, maybe dedicate, like we did last week, dedicate an hour to this, so we can all take a
Why
look.
don't we just table it then? I mean, it
Well,
seems as if.
you know, what if you end up with 3, 4, 5 more signs? I
Well,
mean,
you
then
won't.
what do we do? Yeah, well,
Well, how about this? How about
How many
if
do
we
we have
make a deal and I say before another sign goes up, I'll come to council.
you got a deal on that, I can trust you. Yeah, I just, because the comment has been
How
made
long are
on
we gonna let this hang with this deal? We just can't let this hang forever.
I say
Well-
we deal with it by the end of the year.
Schedule a work session.
schedules, it's gonna be tough